There's a new crappy one that came out called like Bitcore, but seems pumpy dumpy, doesn't seem legit. That's enough. Yeah. So I like the idea that as a Bitcoin holder and owner of the premier currency with the most security, the best devs, the longest track record, the most wallets, the most adoption, you also get the most free money handed to you from these other altcoins that want to leech off the ecosystem or the users.
So I like the thought of having the longest track record and the best devs and the most security and all of this, but I'm really, really, really concerned that we've gone completely off the roadmap that we had for Bitcoin.
So let me tell you the roadmap. So the next thing in the roadmap was a hard fork to a larger block. That was the next thing in the roadmap.
Do you think that's still going to happen here? What are your thoughts?
I think there's an infinite demand for free storage. And I think that anytime you write something to the blockchain, it gets copied to thousands of computers across the world. By your last measurement, about 5,000 computers. So if I could write...
9,000. Sorry. That accept incoming connections and probably around 100,000 that don't.
Okay. So 9,000 that I can write data to, right? So the blockchain is stored on those 9,000 computers. If I write my YouTube channel videos to the blockchain for a low affordable fee, I now have my YouTube videos stored immutably forever across at least 9,000 computers. That's a good bargain for me. I think I'll stop using YouTube. So it is true that the demand for free storage is infinite. And so you have to assign a fee or you can break the network through denial of service, period.
So the way that the prices are set are based on supply and demand, not somebody sitting in a chair saying we're going to set a fee. So the miners can decide what price they're willing to charge for inclusion in their block space. And right now there's been a production quota imposed upon the miners saying they're not allowed to produce more than 1 megabyte of block space every 10 minutes. And that's the exact antithesis of the free market. It's literally a production quota.
Here's the good news. While the Bitcoin core people have been screwing over the idea which you like and probably could work of having larger blocks.
It did work. We have a great track record.
They also were working on stuff that also works and is cheaper and is faster and is 10,000 times more powerful.
And has no empirical evidence and will also require much bigger blocks for it to work. Lightning Network is a disaster waiting to happen with full blocks.
We'll see. It's
cutting edge. You can't close your channel out. If someone tries to do some monkey business and the blocks are full and you can't close your Lightning Network out, you're going to lose your money.
Why don't you get CSW and a supercomputer to go model that and produce a report on what happened when he ran the Lightning Network and how it failed? And then we can address it. Right? There's no reason
to
have
him on your show next time to speak for himself. So I'm not Craig.
I've trash talked that dude a lot. I'm not sure he's going to want to come on. Craig, if you want to come on and have a chat, I invite you, but it's not going to be pretty. I like Roger. Roger's been a straight shooter for a long time. I've heard bad things, Craig. If you want to come on here and get a mouthful, you're invited. It worries me, man, because like that dude talked at your show and Gavin got convinced he was Satoshi. The Future Bitcoin Conference.
Oh, so that first of all, that wasn't my show, and I didn't know he was speaking there until I don't know, like the day it happened or the day before. So
I might be dreaming this stuff up, but people run in circles, right? So I would be considered the Blockstream core small blocker circle, UASF, all that stuff, right? It's not because I've ever ran a node. It's not because I wrote the software. It's just the circle we run in. It's who we chat with. It's who we see. It's who we interact with. From what I've seen, you and John Matonis and Craig Stephen Wright and Gavin Anderson are like a little circle, and I guess Jihan Wu. Now, I might be wrong, but it seems like I see you guys at a lot of the same events, and I see you saying a lot of the same things, which are big blocks, good, and basically big blocks good. I don't really hear you guys say anything else, and censorship bad, I guess. I mean,
yeah, I guess I'm in pretty good company with John Matonis and Gavin Andreessen and Jihan Wu, and for my interactions with Craig Wright, he seems to be a really, really, really knowledgeable person and a very interesting person. So
he was on TV saying he was Satoshi, and then he provided a fake ECDSA proof that he got busted on, and he's fled from Australia to the UK over some tax stuff. And he's been saying
taxation is theft, so more power to him if that's the case. But my understanding is that that's not
but using the taxation system to steal to re-steal the theft, like if the government steals from other people and then you steal from the government, you didn't steal back your money.
That, sure.
Yeah, like, so if you want to read,
anyhow, I don't know the details of that, and I'm not Craig's spokesperson, so I'll let him speak.
But you see the risk
on those topics, but
you see the risk of the only people out there supporting a person that said he was Satoshi that I've seen are N-chain guys, which I see around you. Anderson, who
in regards to Craig being Satoshi or not, I don't think it matters at the end of the day. Either what he's saying in regards to scaling is accurate and correct and a good path forward, or it's not. And the things that I hear him saying are the same sort of things that the original Satoshi said on his posts on the forum and his emails. And those are the same sort of things that I signed up for when I got involved in Bitcoin. Those are the same sorts of things that led Bitcoin to become an incredible success that it is today. And those are the same sort of things and the same roadmap that I think we should continue to follow down, which is completely different.
Satoshi wrote that 1 megabyte limit, right? He did that personally.
Yep, because he was convinced by others that it would be a good idea to prevent spam. And it was intended from day one that it would be removed if the blocks ever even became remotely close to being full at 1 megabyte. So it was never, ever, ever intended to be a permanent limit.
Is it probably worthwhile? So I think the likelihood that you get people to use Bitcoin Cash is larger than the likelihood that you're able to convince all the developers on Bitcoin Core to do nearly anything. So
I think that's fair.
Yeah. So like we could argue whether big blocks are good or not, but we're just going to find out soon because we have both now, right? Yeah. We have both running the same.
Darwinism in action.
Yeah. Okay. So can I tell you why I didn't like the way Bcash went down and the downsides? I'm sorry, Bitcoin Cash.
Sure.
Because I believe there's a lot of risks people don't see.
Please tell me, and then I'd love to finish up in maybe the next 15 minutes because it's almost coming up on 3:30, and I haven't had any. It's okay.
Talking. I'll talk to you whenever you want. I'm a talker.
But please tell me.
So Bitcoin Cash caused people to commingle their funds out of cold storage.
Actually, before we continue, I'd like to point out that too, like Bitcoin Cash caught me by surprise, just like it caught everybody else by surprise. So I didn't fund the development. And like lots of things in Bitcoin, I either get credit for or blamed for. Lots of things that I had almost nothing to do with. So I'm along for this Bitcoin Cash ride just like everybody else, but it caught me by surprise just like everybody else as well. So
I'm glad you cleared that up, man, because I think a lot of people out there thought it was your baby. So I'm glad you cleared that up.
You have to either blame me or give me credit for things that I had little or nothing to do with. But
I'll tell you what, if you would respond to your Twitter commenters, you would know what they thought. I never see.
I'll tell you what, if you have 100,000 Twitter followers, it's hard to keep up with the infinite scrolling of stuff happening there. So I apologize if anyone feels ignored on Twitter.
Okay. So my summary so far is be careful you don't have too much power. Power corrupts. It's anti-decentralized. Be careful about scammers. Read your Twitter comments if you can.
I'll try.
And then you end up with emergent censorship from the bottom, even if it doesn't come from the top. Watch your garden in your subreddit. And now we'll talk about forks. So you might not have supported this fork. You might support a fork in the future. I just want to talk about the risks of forks. A lot of people had a lot of unused coin days and age on their coins, a lot of anonymity, a lot of cold storage that was all harmed and destroyed because they had to go and load their coins into wallets and bring them back to life and now to use them on another network. And they had to download a software that wasn't signed by a person with an identity that could be held to account if keys were stolen. And that fork software, go ahead.
That's simply not true. So I think you're referring to Electron Cash in regards to that, but there were lots of other wallet options for Bitcoin Cash. There's I don't know, maybe almost a dozen at this point. So BTC.com's wallet supports it. Bitcoin.com's wallet will support it probably by this weekend. We've already submitted it to the Apple App Store, et cetera. Coinbase has announced support. Blockstream's announced support. There was Bitcoin ABC. There was the Bitcoin Cash version of Bitcoin Unlimited. There was the Bitcoin Cash version of Bitcoin Classic. So like there were lots and lots of other options other than Electron Cash. And the way in which Electron Cash worked, in which it would copy the wallet file into its own directory, like, yeah, that's not good. And that probably caught a lot of people by surprise, but don't use software if you don't like it. So
but it's even worse. It's even worse than that, right? Because so what? It overwrote your directory and then you like recover it. That's not a big deal. What's a big deal is that could have been malware. So if someone decides to launch a new, hey, Bitcoiners, you get free coins, download this wallet, you're going to get rich. You're going to see a lot of people lose a lot of money over a new attack vector because no one uses cold storage anymore because they want their airdrops, right? And there's a new attack vector being introduced into this ecosystem from these altcoin airdrop wallets, and not many people know how to use virtual machines. So I had to write a tutorial on, hey, here's a free Windows virtual machine. Here's a free virtual machine software. Now you can run that new thing in its own little sandbox, and whatever evil it tries to do, it's not going to screw up any of your other stuff. You know, I had to write that. The reason I had to write that is because no one else cared. No one else cared enough to do it. I'm not a dev. Why did I have to write it? These are millions and millions and millions of dollars at risk. And I have to write it? That's very stupid. And at the time when that Bitcoin Cash launched, I assure you there was only one wallet because I went to the Wix website and I downloaded the only wallet. And then I checked to make sure that the key matched the SHA-2, the SHA-1 or SHA-2.
The signature, yeah.
Right. And then, you know, even that's not that secure because they could have just put a fake signature up too.
So why are you in such a hurry on this? So like I haven't claimed or moved almost like 90-something% of my Bitcoin Cash. I haven't touched at all. They're sitting there in my
Trojan horse. It's a Trojan horse. I don't think you should support miners leaving your favorite network. I don't think you should incentivize miners to make your network weaker. I don't think it's fair to count a market cap for a thing that most people have never touched, seen, had access to, or possibly were even told was given to them.
What if at the end of the day, Bitcoin Cash winds up providing more utility to people around the world than the Segwit 1 or 2 megabyte version?
Brand, gotten your own devs, built your own value proposition, used the same airdrop oracle method that Byteball used.
Okay, hold on. Don't those arguments you just made? Don't those arguments you just made apply exactly to what Blockstream have done? If they wanted to turn Bitcoin into a settlement layer, and strip out the signatures for the transactions and make Lightning Network on top of that, shouldn't they have just started their own coin and their own branding rather than hijacking the Bitcoin project away from what was described in the original white paper? You
can analyze the commits in the software. The vast majority of the commits are Peter Rule. And so we basically say Blockstream and we say Bitcoin Core, but we really mean Peter. And
so shouldn't Peter have started his own project?
He did. It's called Bitcoin Core, and most of the nodes in the world run it, and it's been running really, really good. And the only thing that you disagree with them on are the things that some of your technicians said that you should. And let me add, it's very simple.
What do you mean by the things that my technicians said that I should? You lost me on that.
If you go on Wikipedia and you look up Big O notation, it's a fancy way of looking at how computers work with big numbers. You take a big number and you give a program this, it takes longer than the lifetime of the universe. If you change the algorithm a little bit, it takes every time the number gets bigger, the timing gets the same amount of bigger. And you just basically get this ratio of how long does it take to how big is the stuff I'm putting in it. That's the ratio. And blocks scale linearly, right? Visa does 30,000 transactions a second before Christmas. Bitcoin does 3 transactions a second.
So you're advocating for exponential scaling with Bitcoin, right?
I am saying that big blocks could work at the cost of some extra centralization for a little while, but they would never, ever, ever work past a certain point. And then you need that different logarithmic scaling, which Lightning gives and Tier 2 gives. And by the way, Satoshi supported those things. And I can link you to his Bitcoin talk.
And by the way, Bigger Blocks Network supports all those things too. And in fact, if we wanted the entire world to use Lightning Network, we would still need to have blocks that are much, 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 much bigger than they are today. So keeping the blocks at 1 megabyte is suicide for the future of Bitcoin.
Pay somebody to model it, just like Gavin Anderson did, and publish it and go, hey guys, look, you are full of crap. This does work. Here's our little AI Bitcoin user. Here's our distributed AWS nodes. And there's a lot of other testing solutions available to you where you can rent proxies and rent computers. You got a whole lot of options available to you to actually test at scale a new Bitcoin network. And then say, look, this stuff works fine. Or if you think Lightning doesn't work and you don't like onion routing, you think it's going to centralize, well, show me, right? Okay. But I don't think the Blockstream guys are qualified to say that big blocks couldn't work a little bit now, because they probably could with some risk of centralization, which is a problem. And I don't think you're qualified to say that Lightning can't work. And we have them both now.
So the burden of proof is on them to claim that Lightning can work, whereas we already have 7 or 8 years of empirical evidence that bigger blocks do work.
We shouldn't even argue about this stuff anymore because we have both networks, right? So the best thing I can do is
I think the argument's almost over. I think you're right about that, and I'm so much happier because now everybody gets to use the version of Bitcoin that they like the most, and the market will decide at the end which one is the most useful version of Bitcoin and which dev team has created the most useful product.
I know we're short on time. I've really enjoyed the conversation. I hope it's been productive.
We'll have round 2 someday.
Whenever you're ready, I just want to see the value of Bitcoin go up. I want to see more people in the ecosystem using the most secure, most track record thing. If that becomes your thing, I don't want to call it your thing, but if it becomes a big block thing, if it becomes a big block thing, more power to the world. I'd be more convinced with data.
All right. Well, we have the empirical evidence of the entire history of Bitcoin that as the blocks got bigger, more and more people were using it, and that was the solution. So anyhow, short on time. Thank you. I do look forward to having another edition, second edition, and thank you, Richard. I appreciate it.
Good talking to you, man. Later, bro.